listening to Cain and Randy on Scratch the Vinyl.
Scratch the vinyl.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Scratch the Vinyl. You made it back, and we're so glad that you did. There's huge things going on in music, everybody, and it's just like we keep telling you guys, it's a wonderful time to be alive. We got spring on its way here. We got better temperatures, and it is for us Midwesterners, it is shorts weather already. Anything basically, I would say probably 15 or above for Randy and I is about right. So let's bring on my man right now so I can talk about it. Let's bring on the chill man himself, Randy Wilson. Randy, welcome back to the show.
Well, Caden, you have to admit that over the course of the last 4 weeks, we had a temperature change of about 100 degrees from one extreme to the other.
And we've got that roller coaster week going on here too, like we'll have some ups, we'll get low again, but it's basically going to be shorts weather from here on out, I feel.
Well, every time, it dips and everybody will say, but Randy's still in shorts. And I go, of course, it's cold if I'm wearing pants.
That's right. That's Lincoln's temperature gauge is when Uncle Randy has pants on. It's time to stay at home.
Well, we finally had our winter, obviously. We finally got some snow, and now it's pretty much all gone. I'm ready for spring. Yeah. Let's go.
Well, the big things that I'm talking about, we just got through with Lincoln Exposed, which was fantastic. One of the biggest years they've ever had. I know the Metal Manifesto show, if you're listening to it now, it will have already gone on the 2 days of Metal Manifesto, which is fantastic. We were trying to get John Cruz on, but like everybody's kind of getting sick and everything, so it didn't work out. But I'll bet we'll have a wrap-up show somewhere down the line. But I promise you guys that we're not slacking on guests this week. I mean, I've been dialing in on this guy and wanting him on the show for a long time. I can't think of a better guest to bring on a music and a vinyl show than our guest. But before we bring him on just yet, let's talk about these Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominations, Randy. I mean, the 2026 nominations just came out, and it is pretty wild. Like I'm looking at them right now. I think, what do you think, Randy? Maybe I should just read them real quick, and then people, because I'm sure a lot of people haven't looked at it yet. Do you think I should read them or just go through a little bit of it?
Yeah. First off, I want to give a big shout out to Otto and Duff. They were on the show. They were huge in making sure everything ran smoothly and got everything organized for Lincoln Exposed, and just big shout out to those guys. 127 bands for the 4 days. Man, what an awesome week. Kevin Lang, that was on the show, took thousands and thousands of pictures. He actually went to he saw every band and got pictures of every band. So before we get started with the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff, just a big shout out to those guys for all they did. And yeah, obviously I sent that post over to you as soon as they released the, all the inductees for 2026. And I don't think anything shocked me on the list. So why don't you read them off, and let's have some conversation about it.
Yeah, let's read through them here. So that we got the Black Crowes, we have Jeff Buckley, Mariah Carey, Phil Collins, Melissa Etheridge, Lauryn Hill, Billy Idol, INXS, Iron Maiden, which finally Iron Maiden's on there, Joy Division, New Order, New Edition, Oasis, Pink, Sade, Shakira, Luther Vandross, and of course, last but not least, the Wu-Tang Clan. So I've got thoughts, Randy. I've got things to talk about on this list, my friend.
Well, I'm going to guess that's a pretty diverse genre of music in that list. So they've definitely spread it out a little bit this year.
Well, let's talk about what you and I kind of dove into before the show about it. I think we should preface the idea that I know that the true rock and roll heads out there they're gonna punch themselves in the face, maybe start a chainsaw and want to lay their head into it. But listen, guys, it's going to be okay. There's a reason why I think that they do this, and Randy explained it to me well. Was that it's more than just rock on this. I mean, it's influences. It's the rock and roll lifestyle. There's a lot of factors here. So, I mean, when you look at a list like this, Randy, do you get all worked up over it, or do you kind of does it all make sense to you?
No, I don't get worked up about it because obviously, I've been around long enough and listened to a lot of different music now that everybody has a place. I look. I think part of our conversation, I said, Dolly Parton got inducted a few years ago, and even she was like, "Man, I'm a country artist. How do I get inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?" Well, it's because she had 7 decades of influence on music, and so every genre influences other genres. Every group steals riffs and sounds and mixes it now. I mean, it's hard to come up with new ideas, and this is how they do it. They rip it from other areas and they recreate it and remix it, and it becomes a new sound. Even though we know deep down it's been regurgitated probably 1,000 times.
Now, my only issues with this list would be there are only a couple of them. The first one is I believe the Fugees are already in, and so Lauryn Hill, I thought just as a solo artist, yes, fantastic career, unbelievable artist, but I just thought there's so many other people more that haven't been in yet. I mean, there's big, huge bands. I mean, Alice in Chains isn't even in it. Stone Temple Pilots. The list goes on and on. These are just my favorites that I want in, but you can list yours there. And then also Shakira. I just didn't see Shakira being on that, but I think that Randy's probably got a counterpoint to that that's going to change my mind. What do you think about Shakira?
Well, I think you don't understand how much influence she's had internationally and the in her Latin music sales and overall album sales. She's put out a lot of music, and I think only people recognize her for the maybe a handful of songs that they recognize. But in the grand scheme of it all, she has put out a ton of music, and it's she's very popular worldwide.
Man, I would list her on Hall of Fame hot. I would list her on Hall of Fame booties that I like to watch shake around for sure.
Yeah, she has shattered unbelievable records, and I just don't think people understand that. And I think this is a good addition to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think it'll come across really well when she's inducted.
I think that makes sense. I think what you're saying kind of shifts my mindset a little bit. I mean, what about Bad Bunny? Like, don't you think with everything with Bad Bunny and how successful he's been worldwide, I could definitely see him being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And then people are going to get all worked up, down the line here. But he's probably if Shakira's worthy, then I would say Bad Bunny is definitely a future Hall of Famer as well, don't you?
Well, yeah, I think he potentially is. I mean, that's the whole point. Shakira has been doing this for a long time. I mean, she's on 4 decades. It just is hard to believe that, right? You look at her and she still looks amazing and still does what she does, but she's been putting out music for a long time. She's well deserving.
She has. And I mean, one could make another argument. I mean, look at Luther Vandross, for example. I mean, it's not a rock and roll uh, band that he was in, but I mean, he was a R&B legend, a gospel legend. I mean, nobody's winking an eye at that. And so you really have to say that all of these people are deserving in their own ways. But I can't wait to ask our guest, bring him on, maybe, right, Randy, and ask him.
Well, let's do it.
Let's
Let's
do
get
it.
him on here.
All right. So our guest, everybody, is a guy who I really loved to talk to when I used to go to his shop. He is if you're looking at the records behind me, if you're watching the video, or if we make reference to all the records that I have, I'll bet most of the clearance bin stuff that I'm talking about was me clearing out all the junk records that he wanted to get rid of. Because hey, there's guys like me, the world needs floor sweepers and the world needs guys who want junk records. So let's bring him on right now. He's gonna be our resident expert in music. I know it, but he is the legendary Les Greer, everybody. Les, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
And we're fantastic, man. I'm so glad we finally worked it out because I've talked to you here for a while about trying to get you on. It never worked out. I got sick or this happened, but we finally got you. I mean, my fondest memories with you. I don't know you like personally, but coming into when you worked at Lefty's Records, when you owned Lefty's Records, and I would go in there on like a weird day and just kind of talk to you a little bit about music. You'd always have something cool playing in the background. It gave me the honest experience of record shops. And there was like no other record shop at that time that I would go to. Like you were the only one, my friend. I wasn't cheating on you.
I appreciate that. That was my goal.
So how long were you at I mean you're no longer there now, and I want to get back to this list here in a second because I want your opinion, but for those who know Lefties, and I mean, how long were you there?
I had the store for 11 years.
Awesome, man. Well, you made a lot of people's music fans. You made a lot of people's dreams come true. Getting those records for them. Buying, selling, trading. I mean, you gave everybody that honest music experience, and it's just awesome to have you here. So, hey, when we're looking at this list, though, I mean, I would love to hear your opinion on this list. Like, are you one of those camps where it has to be rock and rollers, or what? Like, where do you fall in this?
Well, when they first started doing it, I was kind of that way. It was like, why are you calling it Rock and Roll Hall of Fame if you get an acts that aren't rock and roll? But that was quite a while ago. So I've come to accept it. I get it, I guess. I don't always understand some of the ones that get in, but some say it's a popularity contest to whoever the guy from Rolling Stone likes, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, on this list, do any of them stand out to you aside from Shakira being Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hot? What
She
do
is.
anyone stand out to you as this is wonky or this shouldn't be there?
Uh, I like what you said about Lauryn Hill. Her one solo album is great, but otherwise she hasn't done much else solo that was really great. And she's already in with the Fugees. I guess Mariah Carey's got a great voice, but her music never did much for me. Never cared for Phil Collins solo stuff. Loved Peter Gabriel era Genesis, so he's already in. Iron Maiden should be in. Joy Division. New Edition, I don't know a lot about. They were kind of poppy. I never got into him. I liked Oasis. Luther Vandross is on a Bowie album, so he gets in just for that in my book. But yeah, I think most are all right.
I think New Edition. I mean, that was the band that Bobby Brown was in right before, and so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
instantly gets in for me because Bobby Brown and the Don't Be Cruel album basically set me up as wanting to be a singer and a musician as a kid. So for me, that's why he and them get in. What do you think, Randy? I mean, we're still dialing up this list. I mean, obviously Billy Idol has to get in, right? I mean, Oasis, I feel is a necessity, and Wu Tang Clan. I mean, they're as rock as you get when it comes to being a rap group.
yeah.
Well, first off, Phil Collins, that's like in some ways I'm surprised he hasn't already been put in. I think some people forget that this guy put out he was on had number one hit chart for like 7 years, put like 30 hits out. Like like he never left for a long time. And of course, it was nice to see Peter Gabriel at that time go out on his own and put out probably one of the best albums of that time period. And of course, Billy Idol, In Excess, Iron Maiden, those are, you know, those are huge influences for me from the 80s on. Definitely should be in. Uh, you know, I, I think one thing we have a hard time with, some of these, when you're only talking maybe 20 years, 30 years, you start to go, how much influence did they have? Are we like, I think Les said it best. Is some of this just a popularity contest? but I really don't have a really hard time with anybody on this list.
Well, it looks to me when I look at it, I want to correct myself here. If the Fugees are not formally in, they've been acknowledged by
Oh,
them for certain things, but and that changes my answer completely. I think the Fugees deserve to get in before Lauryn Hill does. I mean, the Fugees,
agree.
what they did was unbelievable. Wyclef, I mean, come on, all those guys. I mean, they really did something revolutionary. They
They were
deserve to get in before Lauryn Hill.
they were ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Did you happen to see her performance on the Grammys this few weeks back?
Oh yeah, and it was unbelievable. I mean, I'm not saying she's not at a she's not at a high level or she's not deserving herself. I would just it's one of those things where I'm scratching my head like why would she be above them when her success was through the Fugees and that's what launched everything for her.
Well, I guess it really comes down to I know that I feel like they've been trying to make up for things these last several years. Like there were so many bands that were deserving for a long time, but it was like they were only trying to induct like a handful at a time. And now look at this list. I mean, it's 10 to 15 artists getting in every, or bands getting in every year now.
Well, it'll definitely be one heck of a show, no matter what. No matter who's in here. If this is the list, then it's going to be fantastic, no matter what. And so I just wanted to touch on it because I think that this is really important. I love conversations like this, and it doesn't get any better than having somebody who I know is a massive music fan. You know, Les, I pay attention to your posts on Facebook and different things, and you even post like people's birthdays, like all like famous rock people, different albums. You post like ticket stubs. You've been through it, man. Like you, I'll bet you have a hell of a collection, don't you?
Yeah, I got a few.
To say the least. Randy, wasn't that one of your first brushes with him? Didn't you get to actually witness a little bit of this?
Well, not one of my first, uh, but there was a point in time, and I'm trying to think when it was. We were doing a special occasion for a friend, and we all went over to Les's, and he had this massive collection, and he goes, "You want to hear the bootleg version of Nirvana at Duffy's in '91?" I'm like, "You got that?" He's like, "Oh yeah." Pulls it out, puts it on. Oh my god, I was blown away.
Wow, how do I talk you into bootlegging a bootleg of that show so that I can hold it close to my pillow the rest of my life?
I'll loan it to you and you can burn a copy.
Man, this just made my whole year. I mean, it's funny because that show is so legendary here in Lincoln, right? Like everybody talks about that being one of those shows. And we've had big acts here. I mean, the Beatles played in Lincoln, many moons ago. Like people have played here, but a lot of people just talk about that Nirvana show at Duffy's. So tell us a little bit about it. I mean, did you get to make it to that show, Les, or what were you doing that night?
No, I was out at the Royal Grove, trying to get lucky, and was going to go down to Duffy's, but just never made it down there. Wasn't a huge fan of Bleach, so it wasn't a high priority. But I saw him, shortly after that.
So how did you we got to know cuz this is kind of a legendary thing. How did you procure a bootleg of that show? Or I mean cuz the statute of limitations is done for now. So you're the coast is clear, the FBI is not coming for you. We want to know how'd you get that?
uh, I think it just came into the store at some point, or I might have got it somewhere else. I don't remember to tell you the truth.
Somebody was probably trying to sell it.
Yeah, I might have got it before I opened the store. Actually, I don't remember. I had to have gotten it before I opened the store because you came over in the '90s and heard it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, it was probably it was later. Well, it was probably in the 2000s. I probably it's probably when we or
Yeah, but
even
before
later.
2011.
Yes, yes. I know it. It's hard to think. It's hard to think back that far, less.
Yeah, I know. I have a couple thousand CDs too. So
Um, Ironically, I was talking with Jeff Marks not that long ago. We were, we always reminisce about the big rock and bull show I had at Gateway, and
Sure.
and and I start to thinking like, oh man, that was like almost like 30 some years ago now.
Yeah, I met Jeff when he wasn't even old enough to drink.
Yeah. I've been trying to get him to come on the show. We're gonna get him eventually. You know, he was part of that band called Loon there for a
Yeah,
while. And
yeah,
of course, Rick has just recently passed away
yeah.
last year. And so there's gonna be a point where I'm gonna try to get a little almost seven reunion together and get some of those guys on here and talk about those good old days back when they were literally just kind of jamming out in the garage in the beginning days.
Yeah, I saw them play a lot. Jeff's like my little brother.
Yeah, I have to keep track of him every once in a while, but I always love running into Jeff, always do.
Yeah.
Out in the wild, there's one creature feared by hunters, admired by lumberjacks, and envied by hipsters.
Yeah, it's me, the elegant Sasquatch, and let me tell you, these locks don't tame themselves.
Introducing the Elegant Sasquatch Grooming Company. Beard oils, butters, and washes so good, they'll make your face smell like you wrestled a cedar tree while sipping fine whiskey.
Last week, a hiker followed me for 3 miles just to ask what cologne I was wearing. Joke's on him. I don't wear cologne. I wear the gentleman.
Upgrade your beard game. Sophisticate your outer beast. Find the Elegant Sasquatch Grooming Company at elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com.
And stop stealing my jerky!
Well, let's dive into you as as an owner, as a collector, and all of this. We really want to know about you, like what got you to be such a massive fan of music? Like, were you a musician as a kid? Like, let's give us a little bit of a timeline of how you became this collector and owner of record stores.
Oh well, you know, never really collected music and records until college. I was a freshman in '74, and a couple guys on my floor that were into it. And one was Phil Burry, who later became Buck Naked, who was, murdered in San Francisco. But, I'd hear New York Dolls or Bowie coming out of his room at, blasting, So I was like, I got to meet this guy. So him and another guy, and they had records. And so that's when I really started getting into it. We go down to the old dirt cheap, and buy, find records. And they had a great cutout section. And so that's where it started. So I became kind of a hobby. And then eventually started working for stores. I started at Twisters around 92, I think. And Homer's bought Twisters. And I got fired from Homer's. And then later started working at Recycled Sounds. And then I could see increase in interest in vinyl, about 2009 or so. And I thought I ain't getting any younger, may as well go for it. So decided to open my own store.
So were you the original owner and business is Lefty's your baby? Like was
Yeah,
that you? Yeah.
I started from scratch. Yeah, tough days early on, but stuck it out.
And was it always in the same place where it
Yeah,
currently is?
yeah,
Man, what a great place, man. I can tell you just from my experience, and I know how Randy grew up in the vinyl era, but I grew up in the cassette and CD era. And then we
sure.
kind of laughed at vinyl when I was a kid, right? We would try to scratch it like a DJ or throw them at each other like a frisbee. But like I later grew this big love for it. But man, when I went into Lefties, like I was like beaming on my way there. Couldn't wait to get there. I got the feelings that I wanted as I was there, and as I left, I had to rush home to listen to what I got. But man, I mean, I can't think of I mean, it was like going to Disneyland for me, my friend. I don't know, and I bet a lot of people get that when they do that type of thing, but is that kinda how you are when you go to a record store?
Uh, yeah, I guess I'm been around a long time, so not quite as excited as you, I guess. But I really used to like it, especially back in the '80s, early '80s, and I was working in a factory. Every payday, I'd go down. We got paid on Tuesday, which is what new release day used to be. I go down to Dirt Cheap, and say, "What you got? What came out?" And spend a lot of my paycheck there. So Dirt Cheap was amazing. Really cool store. So that really got me going back
I
then.
I remember buying my first Led Zeppelin album at Dirt Cheap. It's funny the memories we have from back
Yeah.
then, but it was like a big deal, and definitely in the '80s. I mean, when you talk about Homer's just located downtown, like we're this college town, and most of the kids when they're in college, you know, you couldn't really drive around downtown. It was just you had to walk, and here you have this giant record store right in downtown. It was just like unbelievable.
Well, Les, you were there for 11 years. You owned it for 11 years, correct?
Yep.
And so you had to have seen a lot of Lincoln's collectors and a lot of casual music fans and everything. But I gotta ask you, we have record store day coming up here. It's gonna be creeping up before long. I gotta ask you, like, explain to me the allure of record store day because I know that you get like rare albums or like just for that, but like people literally wait in line and it's like a huge deal. So, like, explain to people who don't understand, like, what is record store day?
Well, I'm not crazy about waiting in line myself, but it was pretty amazing. Like you say, there's usually limited edition, you know, releases, whether live or demos, or they put some cool stuff out. Now they also got to where I think they put out too much. So it makes it really hard for the store to try to buy everything, because you're stuck with it. You can't return it. So, but people love it. Yeah, God bless them. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, it keeps going. I thought it'd die out after a while, but it's bigger every year. It seems like.
I feel like this goes hand to hand with what we were talking with Pete Waters from the zoo about. Lincoln in and of itself has such a great like music fan base, and they just gravitate to it.
Yeah, we got
And
a great music scene locally. I think here in Omaha, there's a lot of great bands, a lot of varieties of band. I love Lincoln Exposed. It's one of my favorite times of the year.
did you get a chance to go see anything this year?
Yeah, I went out every night. The first 3 nights I didn't, I was usually home by 9 or 10. Tried to pace myself. If I stand too long, my back starts hurting, and a lot of times there's nowhere to sit. Saturday night, I stayed out, after midnight. There were so many people out Saturday night. It was crazy. So I didn't quite see as many bands as I'd like to because we went to some places just to sit down for a while. But, I saw, 4 or 5 every night. So it was great.
Do you have one venue in general you like to hang out at anymore?
Oh, well, that night we bounced around. I mean, I probably go to the zoo bar more than anywhere. Been going there for almost 50 years probably. But yeah, I mean, they're all good. Duffy's, bodegas now, bourbon. Yeah. 1867. I don't know how long they're going to last, but yeah.
Well, you're a live music connoisseur. I mean, I like I said, I pay attention to your posts. I know you go to a lot of these things and you'll post things about different bands. But what's the experience for you? I mean, I think that there's nothing better, and I do love records. and I do love music in all forms, but there's really nothing better than going to a live performance with music. I mean, especially on a massive scale when you get to see your favorite bands, but even locally. So what is it for you? Is it kind of like a like a religious experience? Do you just like to get out? I mean, what is it for you?
Well, I mean, anymore, it's just nice to get out once in a while, but depending on the band, it can be a religious experience. I mean, I, years ago in I had a friend in San Francisco, and I dragged her to go see Moby, and she didn't really want to go, but later she called it a religious experience. So, I mean, th- a lot of the times it's a band you love anyway, but seeing them live, there's nothing like it to me.
Yeah, I get the same feeling with live music. Is that like it, when you watch like a really intense movie and the music in the background is pulling at your heartstrings? I get that same feeling. I almost get teary. I know it's strange, but I almost get teary at certain shows because it hits me so hard in the gut. Like on
Sure.
like the feeling that I'm getting. Like I know when I saw Greta Van Fleet, I got that feeling on some of their songs. But basically anytime, like even going to I'm going to my son's jazz competition tomorrow. And I know I'm gonna get teary watching him because every time I watch my kids perform in anything, it's just I don't know, there's just something about it. But like it has to go further than that. I mean, how long have you been going to live shows? And can you recall like one of your favorite experiences at one of these live shows?
Well, my first concert was in high school in '73. Saw the Beach Boys at Pershing. Came down from Omaha. I went to high school in Omaha. And we actually came down to see Joe Walsh because we like, Rocky Mountain Way and that stuff. And we actually didn't even stay for all of the Beach Boys, which now I could kick myself for. But we thought the Beach Boys were too poppy at that time. We were more into harder rock. But that was my first show. Uh, yeah, there's been a lot. One of my favorites was The Only One. Saw him 2 nights in a row in Minneapolis. And that was, yeah, just an amazing show. And there's a lot of them. Seen a lot.
It's when you get to go see these bands live is when you really connect to them, I think. Like, this is I look at I look at a lot of the lists, like when we were talking about the, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like, you know, I saw Billy Idol 5 times in concert. I saw Styx and Journey and all these bands several times. REO Speedwagon I've probably seen 15, 20 times, right? Because they came around every year. I remember seeing the Beach Boys back in the day and not the same year Les is talking about, but but you know, you you just connect to them so much better once you see them live, and those are the memories and the experiences I remember. Like you could throw questions at me all day about some of this stuff, but I'll remember if I've seen them live for sure. That seems to stick with me.
Oh yeah. One of the coolest experiences I had was right out of high school in summer of '74. There was a festival in Sedalia, Missouri called the Ozark Music Festival. And there were 150,000 people there and 3 days. And it was on the fairgrounds, and the cops would not come into the fairgrounds. So it was like open party, just a huge party, and no fights. Everybody got along. It was just amazing. And now, that was all the '70s bands like REO and Leonard Skinner and Aerosmith and a bunch of bands like that. And it was just me and a couple high school buddies, sleeping in the car or on the ground and for a couple days. But that was an amazing experience. I look on Wikipedia at the bands were there, and there were some I didn't know at the time that I didn't see, and there were some I knew that I didn't see because back then there was no schedule or anything. You just kind of knew who the headliners were. Oh yeah, it was REO and Leonard Skinner one night, and the Eagles one night, and it's like, but you didn't know who was playing when. We were walking around, and all of a sudden we hear Aerosmith was playing during the day, and I was just like, oh. So it's nice, and at least now you get a schedule these days.
Yeah, I can't even imagine, like, just kinda, like, casually hearing, like, Aerosmith in the background, like, that's cool, I'll go check them out. Because like, my festival experiences were, like, going to Ozfest or going to, like, West Fair or something like that. So, I never got to do anything cool. Did you ever make it to any of, any of the like, the later Woodstocks? You weren't there when Limp Bizkit burned it down or anything?
No, no. A friend of mine went to JW. I worked with at Recycled Sounds and Twisters. He went to that, and he said that the whole riot part was overblown. I mean, because earlier most of it was really good, and then it got ruined by that. The drunk white guys trashing the place.
Did you watch that documentary? I
I
made
have
this Yeah,
I
I made
have
the
seen
mistake
that.
of showing my kids. Like, I was like, "Hey, this'll be a cool experience." Like, we'll watch all the crazy things that happened at this Woodstock, and then, most a bunch of scenes with the girls' tits and everything, and I'm like, "Well, I mean, my son, I mean, I guess this is a great moment for him, but, like, my girls, I basically wanted to go hide my head in a dryer and never come out." It's crazy what they did to Woodstock, but man, you go back and you listen to those the soundtracks of it and all the live recordings, and it's kind of fun to live it in that way. Like I wish that I was back in the days of actual Woodstock and I could make it there. Like that would have been like an experience. And I know you can watch the movie where they show you the performances and you can buy the live soundtrack and everything, but to actually be there and see some of the best to ever do it in that capacity and just be like peace and love and all this, it would have been so cool, man.
Yeah, I really would have.
Well, I kind of feel like since post COVID, we're getting a little some of that back. Like that's why I think this last week with Lincoln Exposed was so good. Like everybody's appreciative again of what live music does for them, and they had a taste of what it was like to not have it at all. And we've talked about this several times, but 127 bands, original bands, and the scene was packed all week. Like that's inspiring.
Record number of ticket sales, I heard.
Absolutely. Well, I hope in my head, I hope that having Duff and Otto on, even if we helped a little bit, to boost that number, it makes me feel good. I'm not going to take credit for their. I just think people are out and about. I think that the time is right and things are just so much better. Like COVID sucked, but rock is back. I mean, we've been talking about that for weeks now, right, Randy? Rock is back in a big way, even bigger than it has in a long time. There's even a resurgence. I don't know if you've noticed this, Les, but like all the new metal bands, Limp Bizkit, Deftones, all these bands are like some of the top ticket sellers around now. Like people are going in record numbers to and these kids are starting to experience it. But when I was growing up through that as it was happening, or even grunge, for example, I never thought that we'd be talking about some of this stuff like many years later. It was just a bunch of us angsty kids, just, just wanting to be pissed at the world and just loving these bands. So are you surprised by the resurgence of these bands?
I guess yes and no. I mean, look at all the '70s bands that keep going, and the '80s. I mean, '80s bands. People love the '80s. They have these festivals where it's all these '80s bands. So I think a lot of it's like a lot of the stuff you talked about, the '90s stuff. I didn't get into, but you find that whatever you were listening to when you're at that age, I don't know, 16 to 25 or whatever, just stays with you because that's when you were becoming a real human being, and it just it registered with you. So I think it stays with you your whole life.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I mean, I say it all the time is that I always gravitate back to, you know, my, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s is basically what I grew up on at that time.
Yeah,
And I now appreciate a lot of the stuff that I like about the 90s now, but I didn't at
right.
the time. I didn't as much at the time. It's just that you have to develop those tastes. And, you know, when we're talking about going to live shows, like going to see Ozzy for me back in the 80s was awesome, right? But now with his passing and a lot of these tributes we've been seeing this last year for him, that where they did get him inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they did this super tribute at the Grammys for him this year. It really hits you because you're like, that was a huge part of of my growing up in the '80s, and it's finally, I finally feel like it's getting its recognition.
Yeah, and speaking of live shows, people say they're thinking about going to see some act, and I'm like, go, because you never know if you're going to get another chance. I mean, look, Tom Petty died fairly young. Prince. I mean, go see him if you get a chance, because you never know if you get another chance.
I used to have this joke. I went to see the Stones in '81. I'm a teenager. I went and saw the Stones because I thought they were this old '60s band that you may never see them again. They end up playing for another 30
They're
years.
still going. Well, that's like, Jeff and I went and saw Paul McCartney in Denver, I think 2002, when he first started touring again. And we were like, got to go see him, because who knows if he's going to keep touring. He's been touring nonstop ever since. And that's a show that I got a little emotional at. Just hearing him sing those Beatles songs that I grew up on was really emotional for me.
Me and Cain send stuff back and forth with each other all the time about Paul McCartney.
He's amazing. He's 80 or whatever, and he still puts on 2.5-hour shows.
It's crazy. And you can really tell that he's humbleized a little bit, right? Like he's come to terms with the whole Beatles and the loss of John Lennon, and like he's realized that all the things that he used to be mad about or they were fighting about or whatever, it doesn't matter. What
was like one of his the live album where he did some Beatles songs. He put his name in front of Lennon, where every other time for credits it's Lennon McCartney. But he was always mad that his songs, were still Lennon McCartney, and so he made it McCartney Lennon, which seems kind of petty to me. You're in one of the greatest bands ever and wrote some of the greatest songs. Why be that way? But I think a little bit he had an inferiority complex to Lennon, just because Lennon was more of a poet, I think, and more of an intellectual. But
yeah, no, and like I said, I think you can see it now that he's come to terms with all that.
yeah,
And
I think so.
which makes us love him even more, because he doesn't have I really don't think he has an ego about going out there and performing all those songs over and over again, because it just makes every generation love it even more. We talk
Yeah.
about everybody at some point in life has a Beatles experience. You just don't know when it's going to happen to you, but you're going to find yourself one day going through those old records in those bins at the record store, and you're going to find one, and then you're going to be hooked. And next thing you know, you've listened to every Beatles album. Then you start going to John Lennon's solo work. You spend 5 years and you're like, holy crap, these guys put out a lot of stuff.
All right, everybody. You're probably wondering, why the hell am I wearing a Slimer costume? Well, I can tell you that I am absolutely spooked with all the great things going on with the show lately. So let's talk about some of these sponsors. First off, let's talk about Noisel.com. What's Noisel, you ask? It is an app. It is a website. It is a streaming service. It provides an alternative for us to go and listen to Nebraska artists and get your music heard. So we're on a campaign right now. We want you, that's right, you Lincolnites, you Nebraska people, all you musicians out there with music. We want all of your music on Noisel.com. So get on there. The process is easy. I did it myself. Even in my crazy state, in my Slimer costume, I went ahead and I put my actual EP on there, the Trust Fall EP, And it was an easy process. It was amazing. And the best part is you will get paid for the streams that you do here. You don't have to be ASCAP certified. You don't have to be BMI certified. Heck, you don't even have to have your music out on Spotify or anything right now, but get it on Noisel and get heard by local audiences, played at local businesses, and everybody around you will finally get to hear all those gems you've been sitting on all these years. So noisel.com. So next up, we have one of our new sponsors. We have Loco Design. Loco Design is so much more than just a marketing company. They actually go and they analyze what you have to do to get your business really seen and really heard. You know, they'll do a brand for you. They'll do a logo for you. They do it all. So go to locodesign.com. It's LOHCO design.com. And don't be loco like me. Be loco and get loco with them, everybody. All right, let's talk about Backtrack Records, everybody. I've been telling you guys for a while, I am a clearance billionaire, if you will, and I am digging through those bins, and I challenge you. That's right, you out there, all you record collectors, all of you, casual listeners, all you that just want to build up a small collection to look at to show everybody, hey man, I'm cool. I listen to vinyl also. You can go to Backtrack Records. They have it all. They have new records, they have used records, they have premium records, and they have the not so premium records. They have cassettes, they have CDs, they have it all there. I just love this store. It's basically Disneyland for me. I'm running around like a kid in a candy store the whole time. So you're probably going to see me there someday in this Slimer costume, and you're going to wonder to yourself, what the heck is this guy doing? Is he nuts? The answer is yes, I probably am. But I'm also enjoying myself and living my best life, and I do it at Backtrack Records. So I suggest you do the same. Get there, everybody, and join me in my quest, because I'm going to tell you guys, I'll give you just a little chance, just a little bit of a chance. But if I hit it big, I promise you, I'm going to buy all those records, and I'm probably going to like do the whole indecent proposal thing, like I'm, instead of like money on the bed or something, I'm going to just lay thousands of records and I'm just going to roll around in it. Get there, get those records before I do. This is my challenge to you, everybody. Stands to be asked, though, Randy. I mean, let's post the question. We love doing this sometime. I mean, who's your guy? Let's see what camp you're in. I mean, who is your guy when it comes to the Beatles? Are you a Lennon or McCartney guy?
Probably more Lennon, just because I appreciate lyrics more. But it's tough because McCartney writes amazing melodies. He's he's the melody guy. I just don't think his lyrics are usually as good. But
I think the word
so
people use is whimsical with him, which I hate that word, but I can see why. Uh,
yeah,
I'm a Paul guy. Like I told Randy, and I've told the audience this. I had my Beatles experience probably in my I'd say like my late 30s, and I'm not that old, I'm going to be 44 this year. So it actually took me all that time to really understand it and really love it for what it is. And now I'm hooked. I mean, I have the solo albums, I have, everything from Wings, I have their kids albums. I mean, there, to me, there's nobody better. I'm actually, as we're dialing into this right now, I have a Beatles documentary right playing right in my eyesight. And every time I kind of look over, that's what it is. It's the Beatles explosion.
I saw him on Ed Sullivan. So
Wow. I can't imagine like getting to experience them in that capacity. And then, like I said, I was so dumb when I was a young music fan.
we all were.
I used to tell my friends' dads, like, yeah, man, they play Zeppelin. I'd be like, yeah, this sucks. I'd be like, throw on Slipknot or something. This really blows. And then I want to punch myself every time I say that, but I got to tell people this is what happens. It's like the circle of life type thing.
Yeah, we all do that, I think.
You ever watch any of the YouTube stuff where they take these young kids and they play, 70s or 80s rock stuff, and just let them. They don't say nothing. They just let them listen to it,
Oh,
and the kids love it. They get blown away by it, and it to me, I guess it just proves that good music is good music. But you think, you know, it's because whatever the music industry, like you were saying, the popular contest, or the popularity contest of what the industry wants these kids to listen to, it gets shoved down their throat. But when they get the opportunity to just listen without any influence, all the great stuff comes shining through, I think.
well, and in my store, I was always so thinking that there's hope for the future because I had a lot of young people coming in and buying 70s stuff, and 80s stuff. They wanted, Beatle records and stuff like that, which is awesome,
We've been interviewing a lot of younger bands here this last year, and I've been blown away by they have that they say those same things. We'll ask them, what's your influences and what do you listen to? And they pull out Bob Dylan and uh Steely Dan. And I'm like, holy cow. I just think they had great parents, is what I say. Their parents influenced them properly on good music.
and they probably got their parents' records.
Well, I just love about records, and I think that's what kids need now. It's such a 80 ADD culture, right? Or
Yeah.
ADHD, or where there's so much at their disposal, that they don't really know how to dial into a whole album. And when you buy that record, you get to actually, like, you buy for the album cover, right? Like sometimes you just see this cool cover, it's at the right price, and you're like, man, that looks awesome. I'm gonna give it a shot. And then you listen to both sides, and there's a couple songs that suck. There's a couple that absolutely blow you away, but you listen to it with intention. That's my favorite part of it. I mean, that has to be refreshing for a guy who sold records forever. I mean, is that what you like about it the most? Is the idea of just popping on a record and listening to it from, start to finish?
Oh yeah, and the best albums they arrange the songs in a certain order so there's a flow to it, and you listen to the whole thing. It's a complete deal. It's not like one song off of Spotify or something. It's a listening experience, I think.
All right, let's put him under the gun. And let's not single out one, but maybe top 5 albums.
Uh,
Can you narrow it down to 5?
This could be an impossible
that's
thing.
that's hard for me.
With 27 honorable mentions? Like
Uh,
what's one that you've gone to over and over again? You just scratched the hell out of it, and you've had to buy it like 4 times because you never get enough.
well, one is Heartbreakers, Johnny Thunder's Heartbreakers, LAMF. That's one of my favorites. Uh, Only Ones. It'd be tough to pick either one of their first two. Uh, oh, geez. There's so many Bowie albums I like. I'm a huge Roxy Music Brian Ferry fan. Uh, the Jam, Clash. There's just there's too many, and the old ones like I have most of the Beatle records, a lot of Stones too. Television's Marquee Moon probably be on there too. Uh, Lou Reed, Velvet Underground, love that stuff. Uh, yeah, it'd be too. I see those things that people ask them on social media, which it's like, oh, it's impossible. I can't. It's be it'd be changing, day to day or minute to minute.
King, did you get all that? How many great new songs did we just put on your Spotify?
It's funny you said. I was writing it down as fast as I could. The Scratch the Vinyl podcast, its playlist is going to be booming today.
I tell you, we talked about COVID, and ironically, COVID got me back into my record collection because I was used to going out pretty much at least one night a week on the weekend to see live music. and I couldn't do that anymore. So, I was sitting at home on Saturday night, have one beer and fall asleep in front of the TV, and there's a couple vinyl groups on Facebook, and so I just started uh, pulling records and playing them and posting them, and I got interaction with people would comment or like, what I was playing, and it really got me back into pulling records out that some I hadn't played probably in 20 years or more, and I'm just like, oh, I forgot how great this is. And so yeah, I kind of got back into my own record collection that way.
Well, that was kind of how this show developed, to be honest with you. We were doing album reviews just to kill time, we couldn't go nowhere, and I
Yeah.
literally just pulled out my crates and just started pulling albums out, and I was doing short videos of, history of these albums. And when me and Kane started talking about it, it's like this is what we love. And it kind of was you know, a launching pad for us for, what podcasts are and our love for music. And we've talked to a lot of people that time period allowed a lot of people to reconnect with their favorite music, listening to their favorite albums. And Kane, I can't remember, you might have to fresh my memory, but we had somebody that basically started reaching out to their favorite artists, right? And got some interaction back, and they were blown away. But the artists were the same way. They were locked up, and
Right.
they wanted communication too. So they were connecting with their fans.
Yeah, I can't. We've had so many episodes now; it all kind of runs together. I know I remember that conversation, and I thought, man, that's cool. Like they literally were getting a hold of these artists that they love. Oh, you know who it was? Wasn't it Taylor from Iowa? Was it him?
Well, I think he was one of them. I,
Yeah,
I don't think that was the conversation, but we talked to him about that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, he reached out to his, favorite band, or it was the lead singer, and found out. He was like, "Yeah, man, how's it going?" And it was somebody that was doing another podcast, and they were kind of doing their own thing, and then kind of reached out and kind of found a new niche just reconnecting with music again.
And it was a way to connect, because you couldn't do it in person.
Exactly.
It was something.
We always say this is where, if the world would just turn everything else off, we'd all reconnect with music and life would be really good.
And I kept a store. I never closed the store during COVID, and so I had a lot of people coming in and buying. I think the first month or two nobody came in, but then after that, people were like, and I was selling a ton of the plastic sleeves. People were like, "Well, I got time. I'm going to put these sleeves on all my records." And so yeah, it was like I think it did take people back to their records.
I know that was one of my places that I escaped to at that time was to your store. And just, that was like one of the few outings because it's not that far from where I live. I live in College View area. And man, it was just like I just had to go somewhere and just to blow off some steam, maybe buy a few records, come home and listen to them. But what a weird time, man. History will look at this, or our history will look at this as one of those strange moments in time where the whole planet just stopped for a moment. But things are moving fast now, maybe even too fast for some of us. And just like that, Randy, the show is moving fast as well. So fast that we might have to have a part two. We want to extend to you the offer less of being our resident music expert because I really think you are, man. I think you've lived and you really know when it comes to like, hey, what record was that and what year? I'll bet you could tell us.
And it depends on the genre, I guess. I like jazz, but I don't know a lot about it. Probably. Same with newer music. Which for me is the last 30 years, but it still kills me when I hear something from the 90s on a classic rock station. I'm like, Nirvana's classic rock. I'm like, well, I guess they are now.
It's crazy. Well, this always happens when we can just sit down and talk music. Time does fly. And
Sure.
Les, man, it's great to see you again. I I hope you're doing well. Really appreciate you taking a little time out of your day just to sit down with us, just to talk music, and really can't thank you enough, my friend.
Well, thanks for having me, and it was nice to. I didn't realize we had a connection going back, and that you were going to be here, so that was cool too.
Well, unfortunately, that's what happens when we get old.
Yep, very
we
true.
both see, you got me by 10 years, so you're gray as white, and I'm just turning gray. Kane, this is what you're gonna look like in 10 years, my friend.
That's what you got to look forward to.
Well, my adolescent beard here that barely grows, it does have a little bit of white creeping in. So
Uh-oh,
this is kind of
uh-oh.
nice. Yeah, I would die to look like Les someday and have that beautiful white mane and that beard, man.
Well, thanks for being an influence in this community with the record store, and appreciate your time, my friend.
You bet. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, Lincolnites. We brought you. We sometimes we have to do this thing. We have to like flex and prove to you guys that this really is a vinyl heavy podcast, and we do love music as much as we say we do. And I think you guys are gonna love listening back to this one over and over again, and just really reveling in what Les has done and what Lefties has meant to all of our communities. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're bringing you guys the best guests around. We're creeping up on our 100th episode, and I think we've got some aces up our sleeves, some surprises, everybody. So we just want to thank everybody for listening, and catch us on the flip side every week here on
Scratch the vinyl. Scratch the vinyl.